다들 대리 균규 가젤링 더 주메 고만들이야 자기 고급 총무디 가보시다 존스 안드레 인두상아는 미세 지주말에 다나 신기 주마 상월올이야 얘기다 미세기 가르다 디데기 주메 고마르치 여버디 야부시다 총자 치고바레 다나 신기 난기 구순도데 다나 신기 주마저기 신유엔다 처외 dwi겐디죠 야부시라 총자 드린두산에 엔상로리아 가슈에다 야부시라 총도 제제 나우시 쉬아다 다나 신기 두시 쉬아이
I'm very pleased this time to have the opportunity to visit here at Dunju Gazaling and at the request of Tenzin Palmo and the Nun community here. And having had the opportunity to visit here and how well everything is done externally as well as internally in terms of the whole sort of the outer environment and the inner decor as well as the discipline of the Sangha community and education, welfare in terms of living conditions, all are very good. And I'm very pleased to witness this, especially in the context of a nunnery. I'm most pleased to witness this, and that you have established and maintained such a good place. I want to also offer my appreciation to all of you.
다디 신다 데레라 다지당기 다 가르라 다도 마주나 다 유유스타 조금 아디 마주유스타 다 stop here 다 주어다 다드네 차게 준비 몰람단 제베 도네 다디 마지 교랑 시엔문이야 교랑 내가 지금 인도스 라고다 말만 교고 말했어야지 I think no need that is enough English no Oh, really? Oh, that.
Everybody asking, is there a translator? Is there a translator? And I said, oh yes, there is a translator.
Okay.
So you cannot disappoint, essentially.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. And 다들이 이제 되네 가르래. 전다 도도 규신 줄다. 데 다들인데 차게 침비 명람다 제바다 근데 마지 가르래다지 주시에부터 지하로부터 근데 최시에비므레 이나야 다 니막 가르쳐 말해 tin상아 this 수보되어 매ብ체 수보되어 매ብ디 엄마들이랑 수보되어 가서 수보되어 교부시다 매매서진 다 tin상 아니 수보되어 시다 매ብ체 아니 다지 인지게야 포커스 점마다 지 리버를 디미온도 사네 남상 고유로 코 되네 망tom으로 교체 지금 dim모도 그렇게 용되기도 드네 인두산에 안다리데야 지 차신 명랑 티디 이제 개버지당 야버지 영화디 가보시라래샤 다이네 딘지 자와서는 장도 단도나 지 가수래 자시베당 지 딘지 라니 상보용아 시에다게마 자신 명람데 롱게 소리 좀 안돼 다 딩엘이야 되지게 다 다디 롱데 마세 콘리야 지 소소 섬지 도르디 점시 마 가서 도르디 점시마 다디 가서 자기 친구들 제여기 다 계세 뉴뉴시 슈트하게 매주쇼이
So while it is planned for me to give instructions on the Mahamudra aspiration prayer, well, that is so, but lately I have not been keeping so well, seems physically, and so then when that is the situation, it is a bit difficult for me to focus and sort of to arrange things. Whenever I attempt to focus and organize things, I seem to experience some sort of dizziness or dizzy spell. So obviously it doesn't come out very nicely. Nevertheless, for the purpose or for the sake of auspicious connections or bringing about auspiciousness, along with providing the long or the reading transmission of the Chakchen Molam Mahamudra aspiration prayer, I will attempt to say something briefly along the line of the Mahamudra prayer of aspiration.
Bonde Bomo Droye, Nodra, Gandin, Duja, Mambo, Minze, Samgi Mega, Jundrena, Drongerin Boja, La Jeva. 다 진짜 다들 자신 명함도 잘해. 다 자기 친구 사디. 근데 대라양 근데 다들 쉬는 중면로다. 자기 친구 쉬어야 되려야 되네. 다 강의 기회 공로 다들 라마라지에서마다 다 자기 좀 telea 노수나 저 얘기다 돌루기 자기 전부다 얼루기 자기 전부 다 나바니 다 이제 가지고 거기 나로려야 돌루기 자기 전부다 얼루기 자기 전부 다들도 현견다 다들도 미세 바로 나바니 지 용데 있으래 다 간다야 돌루기 자기 좀 사지당 얼루기 자기 좀 사지 근데 송수지 예배인 바레스.
So, broadly speaking, concerning the tradition of instructions on the Mahamudra. Most commonly in the Kagyu traditions, it's known that there is the Sutra tradition of Mahamudra and Tantra tradition of Mahamudra. And for the most part, everyone acknowledges that the existence of these two traditions or two way of presenting the Mahamudra path.
Tadeleyan dulu gıçagışım sadi. Ta ga kolo babasana dando gyawe yumgi gonde. Gomde. Ana ko magoro altavji khararde. Gyawe yumgi gonde. Dene karşıya Loben luru gi jawan zeba. Loben luru gi ta gyawe yumgi gomba. Ume the Loben luru gi jawan zeba. Ta degi ta yongzha lang azu uma sgor ta ume chubdang tawa. Ta deyang dene karşıya ta yongzha umaro de decha de yare. Dene deyang Paji Karshuratan, Dulugi Chagachim Sadi, Tindrivita, Robin Lurugi, Jave Yumgi, Gombatever Zebegi, Gondenda, Chibon Chadi, Sungares.
So, with regard to the Sutra Mahamudra, it is basically based on the intent or the realization of Mother of Buddhas or Prajna Paramita, and that is along the line of the view of the middle way and presented in accordance with the tradition of Nagarjuna. So, very broadly speaking, that can be said to be the Sutra Mahamudra tradition.
Tarphaben Ludugi Ta zo da tenju zawa shirim zen ta di gomba denge di zawa shirim gomba denge kashi chungre da di nane gyam chodo gyuba di dene lobe azu 조지 반대 어디샤 로베 말면 제기 데네 루루기 다 곰바 차상와서나 다도 마너로 쟁게래야 다와 잡아티니 젠다메바 인스 송바나 신기 반대 다와 잡아 반대 다와 잡아디 다 로베 루루기 곰바 제와래야 다 가수래다 곰바 조타다네 제야래야 다 가수래 젠다메바 in Hindustane, Robin Takashi Dawa Chavadi, Robin Lurugi, Ngolobre Sarvada, Mare Sarvada, the Ore, that is Kebamindo, Takandaria, Pandin Dawa Chavadi, Robin Lurugi, Zebeta, Tinju Chambo Zawashi of Senantado, Dona, Ume Gombateva, Jendameva, Tennessee, yes. Material. Gogoratemos. Ah. Okay. I engaged in Choski and
so the tradition as it comes from Nagarjuna, even though it is said there are many different variations, but most commonly it comes through the Nalanda tradition. That is also the tradition the glorious Giorgio Paldenaitisha is known for. And amongst the many luminaries known for the exposition of the tradition of the Mahamudra lineage, that foremost of them that presenting the Mahamudra tradition or the tradition of Mahamudra according to the middle way is no other than the incomparable Master Dawatakba or Chandrakirti, who there are some discussions as to that he has been one of the foremost students of Nagarjuna, be it or not, but he is the most sort of prominent master in presenting this tradition.
다 되는 다 고대. 마오는 덮심이도다. 다 되네. 되네 다 소변 루루다. 반된 다와 차베기 시에바선한다도 반된 다와 차베기 시에베기 우메기다 공된다 된시과. 되네. 아주 나다 미지베 야와 미지버스 슈거 다 간다 야와 미지버스 슈거
highlighted the practice of Mahamudra tradition and formulated in a particular way is none other than the incomparable Gambopa.
다 대한 가지에 있으나 제 감보바들라 상계기 도팅이지 개보네 도팅이지 개보스데 다 도저바다 팅이지 개보사 도지 팅이지 개변 도 나로라야 아니 데 마음발이야 다 안들아 결론 초시 산다 간달 답을하지 주고래 답을하지기 and 띵진기 개벽 너 띵진기 개벽 공된기 다 우마스나 장도 야나 공 차게 심어서나 장도 다 간다 너 띵진기 개벽 공된 타게 챙게 뭐 개버 챙게 진짜지 가사지 뭐 롱대요.
As to the appearance of in the world of Lord Gambopa, the Buddha in the sutra known as Do Tingzin Gyalpo Samadhiraj Sutra has prophesied that in the future there will appear one bhikshu physician and who will make an incredible impact in terms of expounding as well as spreading this particular tradition of practice.
너 띵인지 개벽에다 공된게 우마산한다도 공된 너 띵인지 개벽은 손베게 는 따와텔이야 미 때는 상알람에 가지고 대동 예매기 이시선한다도 다 근데 민텔라 차게 첨부선 도바나네 되는데 다 너 띵인지 개벽은 마손베게 다 도의 공부를 지임베체 이내한테 민텔이야 되는 알람에 주에게 차게 첨부에게 민도바는 제베 나가래서.
So what is taught in this Samadhi Raj Sutra, and while this bearing the name of the sutra, yet the essence of what is taught in that is the Mahamudra path and practice according to the Tantra tradition of Mahamudra.
Oh, that is, I don't know. You get name, okay. That Tenzin, that doy woman sanada, dotting is the Gebugi. Donne Masumbegi, Umetawa Guli gave it sana. Then it Tamegi Shiba Undu Zabasa Novata, Shugunusum the Chabasa Novata, Tana Shingi, Nado Chugur Shawa Sar, the Dig Tanya Zabi Impress. That thing when it exerted. That under Tik race live at the water. Just send us to Shan, one swim in this line. That under Tender Umetawa Guli Gerwa, that Delia. Tenzin Karsura Tati Mingi Tanya Tamegi Shibasa Robotang, Tanashi Namdo Chukusa Robotang, that the day Ming Mango Dova Zeberta turned on it, Takandra, then Dulu Shakashim, but the rest laps at the water.
So, the essential view is presented with different terminologies in order to gain perspective into the understanding of what it is about, and such terminologies as the experience of naked ordinary mind, or from the point of view of the experience of pure outlook of thought as a Dharmakaya, or from the point of view of viewing or seeing everything from the point of view of inseparability of appearance and emptiness. So whatever sort of terminologies or different perspectives are presented, the essential purpose or the focus is to present the Mahamudra view in accordance with the Sutra tradition.
Did Karjue that Telagila is the country of Tadia. Jizun Palmo Trubegi, that is Luigi Jorba, Palmo Trubegi, Luigi. That Palmo Trubadi, Damboji, Dambo Karjueda, Gadambe Chasa, Gadam Chasa, but some in say, some Gadambe that Chasa Tindelia, Pese, Pese is Lobjon Nangare, Shunship is Lobjon Nangare. That in the Sajabi Gundundo Pene, Yan Sajabi Lamje, today Yamlinare. That in a Tijela Tamadelia, the Kare Tamurum Shigunduli Pen and Tamurum Chigi Kashudaji. That's some more jab and summer, but that news. Now, Tidusane, the Chidang, the Palmo Tribeg, Umata, Country Mangushi, Koala, Camji, Gucares, Koala Camji, Gucares, Country Mangushi, Yinea, similar pensions and Andando. Tangunet Negi, somewhat treasured of the Taburum Chigi, soon the Chongi Baresta, Mrs. Lianji. The true materials that treasure of the children. That the Karasana Taburum Chigi, Karasona, that Kowe used the Azun and you Kowe used it, Mariba that Manguchi Shedra. That day my image, Tade Shiba Korana, Tade Shiba Samara, Tanaji, that Mijin Gujangi was summer, that Tade Shiba Korana, Koa Kamji Gun Dire Sunche. Madoyaji Koa Kamji Jusadi, Tadegi, Susugi, Kisi Mariba of Sunshana, Koa Kamji Jusadi, Mariba Resla, 다대기 소수기 시바델이야 나와서나도 시바델이야 지 가르에 교화시라 도움도 미러스다 머리바레 지 첨버지 아지 첨버지에 섬에 수르도 지 코아 캠지 주세드잔 다대기 소수 셈들에 로바르지 머리버스기 첨버지 연하샤들 봐 다지 진짜 뭐 비체 어다 다가랑 지 다대기 셈도 하나랑이야 코아 캠지 주이네야 내가 어제 양해를 대바 터지 주이네야 내가 어제 아들이 나는 비슷하네 셈을 펜셔를 이제 종이 살았어
In one aspect of the stories about the life of Palmo, it is mentioned that he approached many eminent masters, first with going to the Kadampa monastic institute, and then also approaching the eminent Sakya master, and there engaging in the study of the Lamde of path and result, and then gradually meeting Tagbu Rinpoche or Lord Gambopa, and so there he had the opportunity of receiving pithy instructions in what we normally talk in terms of receiving the instruction into the nature of mind, or being introduced to one's nature of mind. Initially, Palmo paid a great interest as to finding out what is the cause of being becoming bondage to cyclic existence, and that is being caught up in cyclic existence. And while all of these the sort of insights help, but not in a very convincing way, as he experienced it with the instruction of Gambopa. So normally when we talk about the cause of wandering in cyclic existence, generally we say that ignorance is the cause of becoming bondage to cyclic existence, or being lost in cyclic existence. And the way Gambopa introduced to him was that the present experience of knowingness, the sort of present experience of consciousness, is the root or the cause of wandering in cyclic existence, and sort of is present within it. And so normally when it is taught that ignorance is at the root of cyclic existence, or wandering cyclic existence, we have some sense of there's something that is sort of with great enormity that is ignorance somewhere out there, and not much else needs to be done where one is at, and sort of the present situation of one's mind as it is. And when it is pointed out that this is the basis of the wandering in the cycle of existence, and something sort of begin to strike, and that this is not only the basis for being caught in cyclic existence, but this is also equally the basis for freedom from cyclic existence, that is the experience of liberation or nirvana. And so this way of pointing out what is the cause or the root of cyclic existence have been extraordinarily sort of effective, and it felt like it helped one to understand the key point.
That interview da kashwe do things gave konje sana da do da kanda dolu ki uma sadi de mijibe loma tinji gave doji shuaji loma jare tinji gave doji shuaji tinji gave doji sadi yudu da kongi mijibe zebe da tekoran jubasadi tenju din jabati nalo tinji gave doji karasu arasana ngo phoru chimba ngada jesu tumba ming chage chambo jesu arasana ngo phoru chimba ngada jesu tumba ming chage chambo 다 고도 있어요 오늘.
So in this work or treatise of by Metripa,
Tenzin gave doji. I think Tenzin gave doji is student of Mitiba. Oh, student of Mitiba.
Tenzin gave doji was student of Metripa, and in the treatise of instruction to him, it is said
no,
that...
No, not like that. Okay. Tenzin gave doji. He have the one commentary of this Tekonani Juba. Tekonani Juba is kind of text composed by the Mitiba. In the commentary, he mentioned that 3 points.
And in essence is the transcendent awareness that gone beyond, and in conformity with the
tantric.
In conformity with the tantric tradition and known as Mahamudra.
There are 3 points. He mentioned 3 points. I don't know. I'm giving Tibetan. Okay, 3 points. The first one is the essence is prajna paramita. Essence is the sort of we call it the middle part of prajna paramita. But also the second point is combined with the samara, the Jetsunma. Combined with the samara. Conformed with the sort of tantric. The third point is known as Mahamudra. He mentioned 3 points. That name is Digi Kartengorasana. That name which is Nangar Sumsungwa. That Digi Dulu Chakashamasadi, the Dungu Ruche. Dulu Chakashamasadi. Dulu Chakashamasadi, Mon Purudishimba Yimbasche, Mam Doi Gondu Imbeche, Mon Doi Gondu Imbeche. Yinaya, that Musu Sunade, Dulugi, Mudengi, Dulu ne Tembe, that Jujek Tawate. Yinaya Shula, that Kajurage, Samanga, Kajure, the Chakachambasana Dada, Umasana Dada, Tizutungu Yabja. I drink to Sana, other Jesu Tumbas. That means Chakachambus. Mean the Chakachambusad and Doyanama, Chakachambusad, City, Musu, Paji Young Mebesusto. 차게 첨부스 차게 사는데 가시 연구하러 되네 차게 첨부스 지디 너의 날 같이 연구하면 다디 차게 첨부스하디 응아게 최게 쓰는 다음 응아게 타니를 차디도 다이네 갑들이야 되네 너의 공동기 저제게 따와 어디에는 너의 공동다 땜 다디 밀이야 차게 첨부스 민다 제가 다 노루 차게 첨부스 되지서
So these 3-point explanation in terms of the characteristic of Sutra Mahamudra. That the characteristic of Sutra Mahamudra is in essence the view of the perfection of wisdom or prajna paramita, and that is the free of totally liberated or free of any contrivances, and while in essence is so, yet in presentation it conforms to that of the Tantra tradition, conformity with or along the line of. And so, this is essentially the Chagye Chenpo, the great Mahamudra. And so, Chagye Chenpo, the great Mahamudra, is to be understood from the point of view that this is actually Tantra or the Vajrayana terminology, because in the sutra sometimes there appears this mudra chagya, it appears, but the maha or the chenpo does not appear. So in this way, that since it conforms with that of the tantric tradition, and it is free of any sort of contrivances or fabrications, or from that point of view, characterized by these three aspects, is the essence or the characteristic of the Sutra Mahamudra.
다 델레야 가시에게 다디 라마나스김도 다데 간다래야 지 가르에 늦제다 차게 심비 트람 차게 심비 다 거유 다보 거유기 착수에서는 장도 마 트래디셔널도 간다지 알았으나 트람 차게 심비 틴 데베가 인심이지 녜라야 왕꾸르네 근데 나게 녜바도 인심이지 왕꾸르고 하는데 메스 근데 순거 알아 시마도양 카셰기 유박 카셰기 루스엘이야 차게 심부사데 되네 아주 상알라메 나로 왕시사 송아바 왕시나 치왕을 묻히기 갑리야 아니 차게 심은 저기 아 제인주사네 차게 심부사데 왕의 개비 이시선한 장도 왕등기 이시를 인고래 마도 제인주사 딩에 인지미지 에너지 상아 왕고 원도 조고 레스 송제 데 송인도 야딩아래 다이네 갑들이야 콘슈베는 신기 다들은디 돌람고 차게 첨사디 나가람 친이베스는 장도 다간다 나가 따와 친이베스는 다간다 너의 따와를 차디게 인주사네 엔 딩엔도 왕 먹으려니야 당 어쩐세야 근데 로스 근데 중벌에서 근데 송유여버
Anyway, so this is the Mahamudra as presented in accordance with the Tabukaju tradition, and it is said that in receiving the instruction into the Mahamudra, or being introduced to it, there is receiving the Mahamudra instructions according to this particular tradition or the Sutra tradition. There is no requirement for receiving empowerment prior to receiving the Mahamudra instructions. The reason for saying that is in some other tradition, it is said that the introduction to the Mahamudra actually happens when the according to the highest tantric tradition, the Mahāti tradition of the 4 empowerments, and the introduction to the Mahamudra occurs during the time of the precious word empowerment, so-called the precious word empowerment, and through the transmission of this 4th empowerment, that through communicating the awakened intent, that it gives rise to the experience of primordial wisdom. And so, but here, according to the Sutra tradition, that in presenting the Mahamudra path, according to the Sutra tradition, there is no prior requirement of receiving the empowerment, as mentioned.
차가침비 최긴 원동에데 점수 전부 로벨루루 남바니 점수 점수도 살아하러 봐. 다 로벨루루 다 코니기 차가침비다 최긴 수연도데 간데스 되버렸으나 로벨 다 점수 전부 살아하기 차가침비데 루쇼는 돼야です. 루쇼는 다 가셔도 루쇼세죠. 차가침비 루쇼는 돼야래. 로벨루루기 차가침비 각종의 대요 레슨체 단도나 소변 루루기 다 우머리 저출로서 다 디즈기 토네 야 차가 첨보데 각종의 템베소스 되지 소예브.
So according to the teachings by Gyalwa Gozangpa and Hatsans, as to who has established the lineage of the Mahamudra practice, and there's a lineage of the Mahamudra practice established by the great Mahasiddha Saraha and the Ludrup Nagarjuna, and the way that they have presented and laid the foundations for the tradition of the Mahamudra is Sarah has presented from the point of view of what constitutes, presenting Mahamudra from the point of view what constitutes Mahamudra, and sort of in favor of what is Mahamudra. And whereas Nagarjuna from a different perspective and presented it from a sort of a negation point of view, and what is not Mahamudra, and so presenting it from that point of view. And so in these 2 ways it is said the Mahamudra view is presented.
제자다 된대외기 어단 놀루 차게 신부디 다들지 파지면로 삼바르지 다들지 단 놀루 차게 신부기 쿵 배난다 노다 땡주 강로 쿵제브레 쉐비미나 다데 배는 넘규지 순두산에 아주 야외 시징 나라려야 에너지 남과 공부다 라가메바 공부스 라가메바 공부디 아니 가져다데 차게 신부기 곰된이야 냠래야 수 제나르든지 루스 여행을 다들 규모가세 그러니까 다들네 댄주 이왕도 쉐베이나 다좀 된데 참배 제외기 티버시 유라면 댄주디 난 자기 준비다 너의 자기 준비스나 장도 야나 자기 준비기 딱 공동서로지 개시슈를 차리야래 대인주산 제감보바다 반대 방문 주바다 다는 야원 지금 발았어봐 탐지기 진지봐 아주 이게 가져와 뭐 골차게 준비디 좀 된데 참배지 티버시 유라면 다 공동이 인세 유라면 가져와다 공동이 인세나 다도 자기 준비兄弟 티버시 유라면 이게 대주 인체제 근데 지 건진지 양주도 송여버래 근데 인주산에 남준지 대다디 다주 지르거주 양거수다 배는 감상 나눠야 돼 낭다 유숨체 되네 런중도 지네마 낭다 유숨래 조 체년나 로스르지 총이스래 다 디나 조도 귤라마디 디나 제라로 차대 얼바 세상 아주 티 돌람 차게 침벽이 냠세 나니 타버도 다 돌로 차게 침벽 냠세 나게 디졸이야 아니 이거 침벽 귤라메기 다 대줄이야 즉 체년으로 체 디기 숑디조 퇴삼검에 대한 파고야 돼 개점이 있어서 파모주바 파모주다 파모주바다 조금바다
So as to in which category of treatise this the Sutra Mahamudra falls to, and while there are many different perspectives on that, but generally speaking, in terms of treatises, that it falls under the great work of Maitreya and Uttara Tantra Shastra of Metripa, and there is Gyulama.
Metripa?
And no.
Oh, the other Metripa, the Jupiter Anamada, Metripa Nodra.
No.
Oh, yeah, Chanjusama.
No. The Bodhisattva Maitreya, and Lord Gambopa and Lord Palmo, as well as the victorious Dugompa, all in sort of one voice that agree that the essence of the Sutra Mahamudra is fully presented in this Shastra, and that is the Gyulama. And in the Kamsang tradition, there's the three foremost treatises, and among them, one of them is the Gyulama or Uttara Tantra Shastra. And so it is therefore emphasized, pointed out, that anyone who takes interest in appreciating or understanding the Mahamudra path and practice must make a point to study the Gyulama treatises.
다 Gyulame, 다 쇼트를 주제, 다 지금 시행상 좀 다디 인지털이야 서비스 바 교션들 막 차단 규모가 제 당에 다디 슈가 김전에 가라서나 지단기 뒤에 아주 Gyulaman데 다 티버심 Gyulama 슈가래 야 천천히야 구조 넘버 예와 슈가래 간다디 아주 다지 표기 개발하는 게 지금 참고는 잡아야지 또 송도하래 다 대야 ngada midribe chedin ji nano tele dembe soji marbe de ji ki ji ya ba ta ina ya gyana ya 제가 이 구조 넘버이야. 시 gyana 용자기 천데 구조 넘버이야 와서데 제샤. 아주 별이야 규라마 쉬어 봐. 규라메기 디 류 참데 소리야. 구조기 넘버이야 와서 안주기 규라메 나로라 디수요아래. 류 참데 소베 류 당부 조사 디술. 어다드네 인두산디 구조기 넘버이야 와디 gyanalia türüp sumbaşibe kabne gyanalia gür sabit nijeşa gür yaptı nijeşa da de gülamegin cevadela anzu loben tomi izebe yin şuaji nijeşi gülame cevap jorba da de insan keba kaşegi loben tomi izebe mares en dana jingi di 티보시미 길람 구조 넘버요 거랑 로벤 톰 로벤 가서디 지준 샴방고 문제가 이면 도바징인데 야래 나때 가서지 다시 제거해야지 레셔디 가서지 삼동과야지 다시 제거해야지 레셔 다다 제이 나로래야 뷔이 토래 머슈바 제이 나로래야 로벤 잉잉 제베 티보시미 길람에기 잡아지도 잡아데 리우차 상황은 잡아지 매매 소리지 리우가와다 주바 류바 디즈유긴 잡아 러비 인이 제 잡아지 니시도 데데 아우시다 유서선자 다데 러비 인이 잡아지 디즈유바지 아주 별래야 차요 말에 남균 러비 인이데 바지 셈상바 이므르 좀 마다베 우마바 이메 기저지 마모제다 셈상바 이므르지 다 용스 다 되어 봐 다 공 디나로래야 에너지 셈sam에서 바지 까여버지 대송도 돼 잡아디 나로래 제가 다디 제이 털이 예베지 마음발이야 안 걸리지 비 털이 귤투나 삼정이다 대지 귤투나 안지 아주 디버시미 귤라메 공대 또야래야 펜도 첨부 요구면로 삼을 주체 다디 이지게라 규모 유스 게임도 다 간다량 땅에다 쉬어야들야 된저벽에 차게 침비기 다 너의 차게 침비네라 아 차게 침비네 디 문도 되네 가담베 럼림서 말베 저 가담바는 마 규베기 다 가더지 기부숨게 남기를 봐다 될래야 아지 가수에 퇴삼 검증 냠내 채가야 돼 개침부 인수 대야 아주 답으로 뭐지 가르치는 알아서나 nga tadala simjen pen to bande cho gadam be gujin yesu simjen mangu jile ya pen to yongan di cho gadam be gujin yes narobe danga di sabu de yares narobe danga de sabu shida yares yina ya dene cho gadam be ge na gandar ji garu lemrim lo jwa da kibusum ge lamge rimba kibusum lo jwa chero de mena 시라팽 많았어. 제가 가담베기 가서 럼림티즈 나로라 가르송어서 로름징 타서라 폐차와 송어로 봐. 드린주사 로이진바 누바 전부 있는다 충충 있는다 상물로야 편도용아 지다. 다는 되는 시송야 다는 신야 가보름지 가르송어서나 치와입니다 바다 내 윤del에서 디즈 거디즈 냠내지 쉐위나 야르고데 마도 아르고 말했어. 치와미다베 냠내시다메야지 뉴메스미 차가첨부 인스제 냠내잖아. 야르로나 만로 하고 말했어. 드린 인두산에 디규젠데네 다 당보지 차가첨이 냠내 마세병원도 아도다지 답으로 무지긴 제베 답여 타기 다는 신기 다 남자를 무지听와 델라스와베게다 튜몽기 최드조 세나 대조 세나다 튜몽기 람림리야 로 리버 장과디 개츠부시다 있어서 당보드 시험 다 당보드 시험 다 잉인들 뭐 말다 다 되다 마시에 러브링 되고 하시는
So, in engaging in the practice of Mahamudra, what is essentially important is to study the stages of path according to the Kadampa tradition. That is the stages of the path for three different categories of individuals, and working towards becoming proficient at the learning, contemplation, reflection, and practice. And so in this way, that is very important, because Gambopa had pointed out that for him the teachings that he has studied and practiced according to the Kadampa tradition has been most beneficial and effective in terms of beneficial to his mind. And whereas the teachings presented, instructions presented by Naropa, needless to say, they're incredibly profound. But when it comes to availing what is beneficial for others in a more comprehensive way, then obviously the stages of the path presented according to the Kadampa tradition, where there is the stages of the path, where there is the phases of training of the mind, and also the trading on the path, different in accordance with individual capacities, broadly speaking, divided into three different levels of capacities. And so in terms of the effectiveness of it, that is beneficial to the mind of different phases, that the teaching according to the Kadampa tradition has been most beneficial. So that is one reason that people should pay attention to that aspect of training and stages of path. And another important point that Gambopa had mentioned is it's important for individuals on the path to train one's mind in the inevitability of death and the truth, undeniable truth of cause and effect. And because if one trains one's mind in the inevitability of death and the truth of karma, and accordingly engage in the practice of the Dharma, that one can only move forward. So it's a very safe way in that, so to speak, one can only move forward. Whereas when one sort of initially kind of jumps into something like the practice of Mahamudra and trying to comprehend and apply the practice of Mahamudra, there is no guarantee which way one is going to go, whether one is going to sort of go up or move forward or sort of plunge down. And so in this way, that prior to engaging in Mahamudra practice, one should lay the foundation through engaging in the study of Tagpo Targyen, the jewel ornament of liberation, and Namjogrin Chenchengba, the precious, the garland of path, as presented by Gambopa.
다는 신기 되는 숨바 자와 양근백이 자와 양근바 다 양근바 라이한테 양근바 다 자와 양근백이 되는 시소아를 탐지 냠내 층에서 최 토토모 토보디 베 가르쳐지 통보든지를 가워 알았어. 아래 가요 말에 요 가르쳐 탐지 동발에 kaya yo mare sayadinde kabo yores mado mabo disu ji kyamdu dang lenje ge chwe dinde shena kozu shira deba chungwa manes dati disam du kyamdu shena da nyomdu ro da disa lenje disu shena nyomdu da chaga chimbo zoba chimbo dinde chimbo ru ji lana tezi ji kashoe chumbu ru chayo duwa dinde yores chö zoba chimbo yinbe mebe kansa zoba chimbo jogo ba yinson nyamsu lengyu chö de ji zoba chimbo chö susu nyamsu lengyu chö de zoba chimbo chö de ji yinza susu ji zoba chimbo de ji zo de yesam sang de ji ten de yaras ina de pinga maras chö de zoba chimbo yin baras ta kansa di kandar chö de da kansa di simgyu de da nyamsu lengyu chö tini 가 직벌을 차고 왔다 심기 지는 제토고 심기 쉐다 제토고 다드네 인도 타마들 공 가르쳐서나 tin상 미 최계를 따르와 망보체네 간사를 키미르와 망보 통스 최계 마셰 인도산베 지가르베 지부 니제보 지시비시가 도스 바지 델데 되나 바지 따지 제샤나 인도사를 섬섬지 rinthang taji ge rinthang ye debe so she dos khasa quran de disan chi ji ge rinthang min dos da disan di chi di zo kong chen bore do wa de de san da khare ne ke ba min dos ta de ne de san ne tan do na chue dang khasa ni chue da khasa di ni je za oda de ne de san ne 차게 친구들 조바 친구들 지 가르쳐에 쿠란 지 어다 딘 디르제 다 데시안 저거다 가담 비지 소요다 데레 다 데마레 안 도시나 랑마 라마치 컨디슈브레스 라마치리아 미지 컨디슈브레스 꾸리 여러 꾸리 냠레 제바 꾸리 냠레 제 꾸리 저가디 티버 침비 취해라다 티버 중위 취해레스 컨디슈브레스 티버 침비 취해라다 티버 중위 취해레스 컨디슈브레스 다네 라마디 가르쳐서나 티버 침비기 티버 침부시기 딘데게 배 가르쳐 가사지기 꾸리디 냠레 제베 티버 침비 취해찬다고 그랬어 티버 중위시기 티버 중위 로제는 지기 엔드 꾸리 냠레 제베 티버 중위 찬다고 그랬어 ngaranile tiba chimbe chue mara tiba chungyu chue maras song resta jezang tiba chijun sa lo ba da nan singi da kandar chage chimbu zoba chimbu sa de sam ma sab de zo de ngaran ju ji kar sho de ngonju chue sa mar tizule ya nyamle ya go che tizugi kandar gu likbar tuwa de cha de wi na chage chimbu de sabo ya 제만 딘데기 냠랭 가 매대지 칸에다 아주 러버를 차게 침부사디 왕부 영럽 왕부 nom부도 주유래서다 칸에다 지부시에 와라 다이네 소소 왕부 칸데지래도 소소 다 강가 가수라다지 지 미다바다 레균제기 가수라다 냠랭 자마 매버지리아 탄동지 한바쯤 부르지네 차가쯤 냠네 지대에서나 대딘 가와래도 지디 왕부 영럽 디즈 냠네 차이슬랍 장봉은 손데서 디즈 냠네 차이스 나 얘네 수수도 내면데 가와를 주제샤 된 지디 나 디즈 계심으로 진짜 다티 테마 다시 하면 다디마 뉴뉴지 마시야 저거다 뉴뉴지
So the Jawa Yangonpa, the great Lord Yangonpa, and said that these days when teachings are giving concerning something like the nature of everything is emptiness or nothing exists in reality and so forth, everybody seems to be kind of eager to listen to, regardless of what they understand or not. But when it comes to teachings on refuge, essential teachings on such topics as refuge and the truth of cause and effect, people just simply kind of experience boredom and the attitude of not being enthusiastic about it. But any time such sort of lofty ideas or terminologies are mentioned, such as Mahamudra and Mahati, and people seem to become sort of more keener or more alert. The point is that it is not sufficient that the teaching is Mahati or concerning the great perfection, and if the person is not perfected. But the approach is that as if one is already perfected when approaching the teachings. And so obviously, because in essence what it matters is that one needs to mix one's mind with the Dharma. When that is not the situation, so if the gap is big, it is not relevant for one to be just caught up with the lofty ideas and terminologies. So that's one point that is mentioned. Another one is mentioned is that in today's world, or these days, people like to... These days, these days, that when it comes to teaching,
Oh, they have one, maybe I can tell that. They have sort of story or example. That one Lama and student, the student asked the Lama whether this, we have this ritual called Guri. How to say this? Oh, it's very important ritual for dead people. Oh, yeah. And a kind of yoga tantric ritual. He asked that his master, rather this belongs to Mahayana sort of teaching or the Hinayana teaching. Then his master is very, how to say, maybe smart, or his answer is very straightforward. Okay, if somebody have qualified Mahayana quality or minded, then this is become like a Mahayana practice teaching. If somebody is Hinayana practitioner or this kind of minded, when he practices this ritual, then it's become a Hinayana. For us, it's not Mahayana, and none of them.
Neither Mahayana,
Neither one. That means when we practice something like, that's why I think this is the sort of very important, because why is this kind of like Mahamudra or these things become profound? Because we should have sort of very stable foundation, or very, how to say, this solid practice, basic practice. Without that, it's not beneficial anymore. That is it.
So it is important that for one to initially lay the ground through taming one's mind and training in the reality of impermanence and the truth of cause and effect. If not, then not considering sort of what capacity one has and just simply going for what appears to be profound obviously will not serve purpose. So it is very realistic to establish a very practical and good foundation.
Da din papa pama jizun drama ge da drama kazan zerim nan drama ni ziji wan cha ru de ji cheshi yore de ina ya dang arang ge dos dog ju che yun du pama drama karme ge long ji de wan ji che bi na ya bu men ro sam bar de ji tan song kara sana jidang ge da 가서 드라마 강연에 개발하면도 돼 있네요. 나랑 뭐 별대배 겁라더니 지준 드라가라 출루 뒤에 돈다 년바로지 년바로 차창하로지다 당시에 취르도 심베 인두산에 단 뒤에 돈은 와지만 제비 있는 데서 취도 tum버로 처음엔 로서버 된대르지 전전 다른데 지준 드라가라 출루 뒤에 돈에 마완 쉬야도시 Today I'm sleeping. Today, previously we have the plan to give 21 hara, but today it become white hara. Green become white because when I was in Tibet, I did some white hara retreat, kind of full retreat. This is the only retreat I did, full retreat. Female deity, because I saw a lot of female deities, Dhammapalas and Bhikshunis. That's why this is the only retreat I ever did, the White Hara retreat. The tradition, this is tradition from Choje, the Dipamkara. That's why I think today I got this opportunity that I think it's better to give White Hara initiation or Abhishek rather than the 21 drama. Maybe 21 is sounds it's more complicated. I can't visualize that much. That's why it's better easy to visualize one White Hara. But I like white color, apple color, apple Mac. Okay. Oda dedi gonda drame gwan du dure chube sürüce. Ta dine 다 마버지 시아스케면도 다 딜라 다른 아주지 아다 저신종 아주 감가르기 다 연라 데 주메 고바 다들 지여바디 야바시라레스 안드린 비산에 엔지 사메기 가수레지 딘제게다 줄라카 치 줄라가 나게 구순 데 구순도데 다나 신게 다 초회 둔게 Pisum Sawa Yedaba, the Degi, Twinge Pisum Sawa Yedaba, de Chusu Midro Chene. Daji Gachwe, Tesam Gomsum, Cheshire Zomsumki, and Yamlendizo. Audang Bati Ketchum Resongwe.
This important branch of Tashijong Kambagar Monastic Institute, as I had mentioned earlier, that this is a very complete place, both in terms of the external facilities and the whole establishment, and not only the outer, the main monastery, but within it the sacred objects of veneration, as well as availability of proper facilities for comfortable sustenance. And given that opportunity, it is important that these facilities, these opportunities do not go wasted. And through persevering in the different aspects of the Dharma, be it learning, reflection, and practice, and composition, and debate, etc., that one must take a full advantage of the opportunity available.
Dadi Karshmur, Dadi Zuma Sadi, Dadi Zuma Sore Kamcholiada, mean the Chomosare Chomo Chomosade Dras Ming Tepchaj Remendo Natsu Hasegi, then Tembegi, Al Hasich, Zulahangi, Cho Shagamini Gundalia, Cho Shorba, Cho. Cho said that day going and kept the Kuare. The Inji Galena, Lord, my Lord is giver. The day you stand did of Jere. Says I gave on Pale Lucilia and gave a Cho sad. Sumo is a Chomosa, Lucia in Dusan. That day when a Chada Shesagim, the Zuma is Chada Shesa should be mean of it is at the Mindi Abdo. Any Saturday. The Mindi Stara of Mavis study. The Jungungare is done awesome. Kandaya the Sumasa de Tinsan Kashre. That Zumbing Shenugi, Jishungi, Jabadisoba, Cherchine, and Daji, Pumen Ranyamsar of the Degage Chone, that Zumatizo, Giaji, Karkation Puchade and Rochi. Muma Kation Stami in Deva. In some cases, which are the then this is some yet to me. The woman sang it about how in a soon day, that case which had ever seen. Chade orders to you. That the news.
The Tibetan word for land generally, Zuma, and also in
I think he wants to translate very much, but that's okay. I think the Zuma, more of these things, Zuma. And in Kham area, especially in my hometown, people sort of called Chomo, because the Chomo it's a very respected name, because you know this the great Shakyamuni Buddha statue statue of Shakyamuni Buddha, Lhasa, Zulakang, we call it Chowo. The Chowo means it's Lord or someone, protector or Lord of refuge, Lord of protector. And ancient time in Tibet, we call kings Chowo and the queens we call it Chomo. That means it's very respected source of refuge or this,
Object of respect.
Object of respect. That's why that is show the lifestyle.
So, in this way, that the name is given with honored with so much respect, and then we have also the term Ani, and that is maybe not so good. I don't even know the origin or source of it myself. Nevertheless, there is the preconceived idea, or for that matter, the wrong assumption that because of today's world with so much talk about equality in terms of gender, that women are now becoming more visible and beginning to get some respect and so forth. So, but I don't buy into that. Personally, I'm of the view that even from the very time of the Buddha, that respect is there.
That should be day. Should be then that taking Jesus and Milurum to water son. Tewasadi, Mikum be gathered ten and Tewasunguare. Mikum be gathered 10, Churdubala, the Gagan the Tewachane, and Mikum Basunguare. That Gagan de la Kazisharasana, Gagan gay share, Churdubala, Gagan. Gagan get in Aneta. Order Gagan gay shire, this and Tina Anaria. And talk of the Lalo said. Talk of the Lalo said to Najigurjeta. Sometimes talk of the something a lot to Najigurje. Talk of the Lalu you do Majeva. Talk of the Lalu you do Majeva Sene, Quaje or Sana, you will give us at you. Chet has a you will give us at your brother. Chet has a you said, Canadesana. The name. 지 가르다 상계기 도단 안 대주들은 세브스타야래 코르넘시 교가 송하다 코르넘시 예사 상계기 로마 갤론다 갤론 마 게니에다 게니마여서 되게 사실라 계고레스다 근데 최 다섯사야 최 다섯기 최여다 메사데 이제 코르넘시 예메 코로나바시 다 되게 가르쳐요. 같이 레기 초가서 말다 그런 거 내가 제어보다 레기 초 같은데. 근데 제어면 근데 손에. 근데 인도사 디규전데네 아주지 최다. 남균은 아주기 상계기 때문에 예매해야 돼. 거와 라레디 열어서나. 되네 담배쉬는 류와 예매 디나는 연 뒤에지 시송기 차례 예매해야 되라. 투대열 상계기 때문에 예매해야 돼. 다 뒤에 시순기 차례 예매를 토대하래서 다 뒤에 시순기 차례에 수치하래. sana ta gelon ma chawro ta gelon ma chawre ta dana shinge genie da genie ma su go are de ne jusa thi jusa da sange de ba yeme sa de ta dona gelon me de da dana shi de da leji du da genie me de yo go are so sange de ba yeme sa de da ku ra le de are se san nam yin de so are sange de be ge khang be ge 다 칸바도 지는다 되게 가서도 가서에 칸베 두만 디제기 까완으로 차려 까와시 망조라 가와 숨네스 봐 가와 숨 지금 강하다 가라 지도리 지금 administration just 잠깐 가와 시야래 가와 지디 요 맞다 가와 지디 요 맞다 가르 게로마 요 말와 별라 남아상게 봐 가와 지디 메두사 가바 기로 지가래 So
when in Buddha Dharma, when it's talked about the important basis or support for the practice of the Dharma, and by support it signifies that one is endowed with the favorable conditions for practicing Dharma, the leisure, which is to say that be free of the 8 unfavorable conditions of there being no opportunity or time, and then along with the 8 favorable conditions, the 10 prerequisites and so forth. So out of these out of the unfavorable conditions, what is being mentioned as being completely deprived of the dharma is being born in situations of where barbaric or where that situations are heretic. That means absence of the dharma, or in the opposite way is being favorably born in central places, central meaning central to the practice of the Dharma, availability of the Dharma. So in this regard, both in the sutras as well as the shastras, it is mentioned that wherever there is the existence of the 4 followers, then the Dharma is present, and here the 4 followers simply meaning that of the Gelong and Gelongma and Genyin, that is Upasaka and Upasika. So Bhikshu and Bhikshuni and Upasaka and Upasika, the presence of the 4 is the basis for there being the presence of the Dharma. And also approaching it from another angle is that what constitutes or what is necessary for the Buddha Dharma to be sustained is there being the presence of the foundation of the Vinaya and the presence of the execution of the Vinaya rituals. And so, who upholds the Vinaya, the precepts, the Vinaya rules, and who maintains the Vinaya rituals connected with the Vinaya? Of course, done by the bhikshus and bhikshuni, and as well as supported by the upasaka and upasikas. So in this way, if it were a house that in order to hold the beams, the 4 sort of cardinal pillars, the 4 main pillars, so this constitute the 4 main pillars. And I understand in the characteristic of democracy is something about the 3 pillars, executive, judiciary, and what have you. And so 3 pillars. And so here in the sort of Buddha Dharma, the foundation for the sustenance of the Buddha Dharma is the 4 pillars. So in Tibet, because of the absence of one pillar, the sort of the building is in a more shaky state.
That means 다 템바 징겐 차려 템바 징겐 다 저분이 이제 토려야 안다 봄에 저분이 미 가셔를 채비나 다 봄에 가셔 없죠 없죠 내가래 그래 하지 해봐다 다 야부 증명도 다 간다는 없죠 내가 가셔 채 하지 저래 가셔 채 하지 저비 인도산에 가셔 하지 야다 채 하지 드레인 주산에 디 장보찬에 개좀 차대요래 다는 이제 취할 대바 챙긴 디스위네 그제 다 봄에 장보로 망가 예외 소리도와 다 봄에 장보로 망가 예외 소리 다 너는 상계 때마디 징게 다 밀 차샤비는 다 보다 봄이 야래 포동원이 야래 제자한테 포획이 땡래야 상계 때마디 다 차상 예외 기절지래 봄에기 때문에 상계기 때문에 저 창라 마산으로지 가르에서나 상계기 때문에 차상 마산 세두산 라바숨지 냠네 차상하지 고요하래 라바숨지 냠네 차상하지 다다변 벽이 다 주만 되죠다 되죠와도 제빈 라바숨지 냠네 차상하지 매버르지 차상하지 매버르지 도세 제상 다 대기 상계기 때문에 참아서 찬주고 하래 봄에 이때는 상계기 때문에 참아서 찬주고 하래 제자디 지고 개침을 지기랑 어느 안 줘야지 가서다 자와침을 차리 하래 내가 인도산 뒤준선 때네 아니 다른 지지기 라바숨기 냠래 용수 잡아지 영아지기 튕게 내들 수협 인도산 아니 마음발이야 오늘지 라바숨기 람 용수 잡아지 영아지다 상계기 때문에 가서 용수 잡아지 다 진경 배송 체내 때문에 진배기 다 기부 첨부 망부지 주매 된디네 된투야다 다는 신기 저에도 라버지 경투야 가서 망부 중투에 예 저와도 명람 도 수고했어 망부지다 시시에도 대버시다면도 제산다 더가서 참시하나 that's our mangalams
So when we talk in terms of upholding the Dharma and the opportunity to uphold the Dharma, in today's world of course the women folks play a very important role. In terms of population, I understand 55 or some percent of population of women, but anyway, whatever the specific number is, but it seems to be quite obvious that at least more than that 50% or half of the 100% are women folks. And then among practitioners of the Dharma, it appears that the greater number are that of female or woman folks, and so in this way, and today's situation has become significant. Now, in terms of whether that the women folks are completely equipped with upholding the Dharma or not, just as the male monastic Sangha is concerned, and present situation sort of among, for instance, Tibetan situations, that there isn't complete facilities present for women to uphold the Dharma in its sort of totality in terms of the facilities and opportunities. So here you have a situation where that one has the opportunity to learn to uphold the Buddha Dharma in its sort of entirety, and because the distinction whether one is in a position to completely uphold the Dharma or not is dependent on whether the three trainings are present completely or not. And wherever the three trainings are present in its completeness, then there is the possibility of actually upholding the Dharma. So presently here is the opportunity to really thoroughly delve into upholding the three trainings, and through that upholding the Buddha Dharma, and in future times become important the upholders of the Dharma. And so with that sort of insight, I want to express my genuine aspirations, wishes that this place in due time in the future becomes the basis for producing eminent upholders of the Dharma, and and therefore the upholding and the flourishing of the Dharma is maintained. This is my aspiration, this is my hope, and also my prayer, and with that there's no need to say more.